Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right?
Oh!
The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict pregame show. I am Sterling Holmes. Adam Best is with us. Matt Connor decides that he wants to be a black square. Best, how are you? Because this is the most excited I have been for a Chiefs game in a while now.
50% excited, 50% nervous, but I woke up today feeling very optimistic. Isaiah Pacheco is the reason. I think that physical running game is going to make a huge difference. So gut feeling, it's going to be a good night for Kansas City.
It's a weird feeling. Growing up as a Chiefs fan where you typically felt like anything bad could happen, will happen. And all of a sudden, I have this, again, maybe I'm too optimistic here, but I firmly believe that 13 seconds was the start, and beating the Bills in Buffalo will be the end. And again, maybe it's too much like a movie, too much like a storyline, but I firmly feel like this. The injuries to the Bills, to me, seem insurmountable, while Mahomes in the playoffs just takes it up another level, no matter what the Bills defense tries to do. And as much as the national media and the storylines want to be, Mahomes versus Allen, at some point, take a step back. It's Mahomes versus the Bills defense. It's Allen versus the elite Chiefs defense. I don't understand this. And by the way, Chiefs have a massive edge at special teams. I am so hyped. I am so excited. I can't wait.
I've been thinking a lot about the playoff run 30 years ago, where they beat Houston in the divisional round and then went to Buffalo and, of course, lost. Joe Montana got injured in that game. And back then, the psyche of a Chiefs fan was you expected things to go wrong. Now we have Superman under center. And we never think we're going to lose. I mean, I certainly don't. I certainly don't. Now this year, that changed that a little bit, but we're in the playoffs now. And when you have Spags and Reed calling the plays and Pat Mahomes under center, I think you always have a chance. And when you look at that back seven, you hit on this. They are decimated. And I don't think you want to be decimated in the back seven when you're going up against the yards after the catch machine that is this offense of Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, maybe even Isaiah Pacheco getting to that second level as a rusher. I'm really excited to see what our offense does tonight. Maybe they'll have a breakthrough.
Yeah, and one thing that I've been touching on for a while now is I want Andy Reid in this offense to be creative. And when I say creative, I don't necessarily mean a halfback pass. I'm not talking about these end arounds, and quite frankly, not even the wildcat, although it did end in a touchdown last week, right? That's fine and dandy. When I say creative and how can you find and create one-on-ones for Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce, as we've talked about, has been getting banged up all season long, right? You can see from injuries until game in, game out, he's getting bracketed and just bumped at the line of scrimmage. So how can you alleviate some of that? Well, we saw last week a little bit, and quite frankly, I keep going back to the Raiders game because I think that was a turning point. There was something I saw there, and either the Chiefs did or they decided, hey, we're just going to wait until the playoffs to bust it back out again. Use Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce on the same side of the field, because what does that allow you? That most likely is going to allow you a one-on-one for one of those guys. Just say, for example, man coverage, this is a shell coverage here. 2 safeties deep. Well, the safety has to decide, is he going to help out and bracket Rashee, our bracket and stay on Travis Kelce to help out. That leaves you a one-on-one with one of those guys. And with the emergence of Rashee Rice, especially deep, this makes it much more difficult. So quite frankly, that's where I want to see the creativity from Andy Reid in this offense is line those guys up on the same side, create some one-on-ones, and I think that's where you see the offense exploding late in this game for some big plays.
Yeah, and I'm feeling great in particular about Travis Kelce. Did he slow down this season? I don't know. Maybe he sees the regular season as a marathon that he just has to survive. Because when you look at his past 10 playoff games, he's had 70 yards or more in every single one. He delivers every playoff game we've had since, years and years ago. So I'm expecting him to have a big night. And the Rashee Rice breakthrough last week, according to expected points added, that was the 5th best rookie receiving performance when targeted out of any position since 1999. So he's already a primetime player. Just super excited to see him build upon that. And super excited that we now have Matt Connor joining us, gracing our presence.
By the way, why is everyone yelling at me for not wearing red? Can you not see it under this? I'm going to have to just pop the top off. Tarps off, baby. Let's go.
Dude, you just wanted to show us that, like, the 3 chest hairs going on underneath that Chiefs shirt there.
All 12.
All 12. Sorry, fellas. How are you guys feeling about this? What were you saying, Adam?
That we're glad to have you here. I think we're fired up. We're feeling like this is a good matchup for us this time.
Yeah.
Drew Tranquil, that addition, Donovan Smith, and most notably Isaiah Pacheco. I've got a stat here for you guys. And in the last 4 games that Isaiah Pacheco has played without Jerick McKinnon, he's averaging 22.75 touches per game. They are really riding him. He is the workhorse for this offense at this point. And I think in this game, it's going to be important because if you look at yards after contact, he averages over 3. Those other guys, Clyde and Jerick McKinnon, collectively average about 2. So big difference there in like playoff physicality, grind you down football, winter football. I think he is going to be the deciding factor tonight.
Are you worried about the Chiefs' ability to challenge the Bills over the top to help create some room for Pacheco to do what he can do there? Because I am a little bit. I know the Bills are hurting in that second level, but they've gotten some guys back there, deeper in the secondary who are maybe on the fence. Just wondering what you guys kind of thought about. The Chiefs seem like they're sputtering, but maybe starting to get some downfield strikes that we were hoping for all the way through the season. MVS not working and whatever else. I just wonder what you thought there.
I will say, yeah, you mentioned it. Rasul Douglas should be playing in this game for the Bills. That is a big boost back. Again, not really a surprise, but still a huge get back for Buffalo. That is their best cornerback, especially with Tre'Davious White out yet again. He's been out the majority of the season. But we touched on it a little bit, and something I said was I want to see Kelce and Rashee Rice line up on the same side to allow some one-on-one possibilities for those guys. So for me, yes, I do think that is a less of a worry. Obviously we want to see McCole and MVS and one of those guys in particular. But again, I'm not too worried on the ability to find at least 1 or 2 deep ball connections from Mahomes to someone. Again, when you are that banged up, the Chiefs are going to find a way. There's still so much talent in regards to Kelce as well as Rice. One of those guys will make a big play deep.
Yeah, and I think we'll still take some what I'd call performative deep shots. That they're maybe not likely to hit, but you at least show Buffalo that we will do this. You're going to have to be disciplined back there and honor the deep strike, or else we'll take advantage of that. So, but I think they get explosive plays differently now, most notably from Rashee Rice, who's kind of like a slender rhino in the open field. He has these 40-yard receptions. He's not catching the ball 40 yards down the field. He's catching it 5, 10, 20. And then racking up yak.
Yeah. I want to give a super chat shout out to the super chat from Anonymous Mango. Really appreciate it. That's very, very kind to you. Says, Sterling, a fellow percussionist. I see snare heads, Chiefs 31-20, Bills. I like your score prediction. And yes, I am. I've been a drummer my entire life. So Mike Portnoy, Steel Panther, Aerosmith's up there, Joey Kramer. But yes, as far as the red zone struggles the Chiefs have had this season, they continued into the past playoff game, right? The Chiefs offense looked better until it got to the red zone, and then they stalled out yet again. One thing you can say is, okay, the Chiefs have Harrison Butker. You trust him. That's great. The other side of things is, will that be enough against the Buffalo Bills? What do you think happens here, and how imperative is the red zone for the Kansas City Chiefs this game?
I mean, that's my primary worry this game, more than anything else, is that we have left considerable points on the table against lesser opponents. And the Chiefs can do that. The Chiefs have found enough margin to do that. And they had an impressive win against Miami. The Butker's had some great weeks. I think you're right that's great that they can lean on him. But this week, if they're blessed or fortunate enough to go next week, and certainly in 3 weeks, you cannot go for 3 as often as they are. You cannot leave points on the board when you're that close. When field goals are just really glorified extra points, it is just devastating to leave the extra 4 on the board or off the board. And so for me, that's the number one thing here I'm looking for, is red zone efficiency and their ability to overcome their recent woes to do so against Buffalo.
Best, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here. Maybe some of that last week is opponent-centric. I think between Tua kind of being neutered by what Spags was doing, he just took away the middle of the field and forced him to do things he didn't want to do and doesn't do well. Between that and them not having a pass rush, I think the Chiefs felt pretty safe. They felt like they just needed to put some points on the board, keep that lead, not take any chances. Mahomes was just really being a steward of the ball. The last thing he wanted to do was red zone interception. This week, I think they'll be a little bit more aggressive with the play calling, with the mindset down there. They know that points will be at more of a premium against Buffalo. Now, I don't think Buffalo is going to score whatever it was during the last shootout we had. What was it, 41-38? I think this game will be closer to maybe both teams in the low 20s, but I still think they'll be more motivated to score down there and maybe more aggressive on fourth down too.
I'm more or less on your side, Best. Again, I think red zone is something we can always yell and point at and say the inefficiencies, but I do think this team is different than it was in the past. In the past, the Chiefs had to score in the red zone because the defense was getting shredded. Defense is different now. This is a little bit more of a old school ball control, Pacheco, less deep balls, take the points because the defense is going to get the job done. Because if we're being serious right now, the Chiefs scored 23 points. I think we're all feeling pretty good about the Chiefs' chances for a victory, right? So I'm sitting here going, well, yes, you got to come away with some points. Also, don't force the ball. We saw 7 throwaways from Mahomes last game, 41 passes, 34 targets, 7 throwaways. Take care of the football. And as Matt Nagy talked about, we got to clean up the red zone, but also don't give away 3 points. When it comes down to it, with the defense playing at the level it currently is, even me, an analytical guy, says maybe you do play a little bit more conservatively because you trust the defense.
Marty Ball is back, baby. But I agree with you. You look at the past 2 matchups, and the past matchup, and the Chiefs had a couple of turnovers that really cost them. Everyone wants to point out Kadarius Toney being offsides, but I believe Rashee Rice fumbled, trying to make a play. Young player, not going to blame him. Mahomes had one of those freaky edge interceptions, defensive end interceptions to AJ Espinosa that doesn't happen a lot. So I think if they take care of the ball, that will make the difference too.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you guys about, I always hate late additions to the injury report, right? It's just so scary when we saw Travis Kelce go on the injury report right before week 1, we're like, wait, what? We're just trying to get started here. And then that happens. We saw 2 names come up, Willie Gay Jr. with a neck issue, and then Charles Omenihu, who was apparently dealing with some kind of an illness. Now, both guys are active. Even early in Sunday, James Palmer said they're going to play. So it's not like right up to game time, we're finding out they're going to go. However, they were added to the list. What did you make of those additions? What do you think? How is that really going to affect the Chiefs potentially tonight? Especially Omenihu up front and how effective he's been as part of that rotation.
I'll let Best handle this first because Best's infatuation with Charles Omenihu is unmatched. And quite frankly, he was correct as far as the impact that he would make as the season went on. So I think Best is the best equipped to answer this one.
Yeah, I predicted him becoming a Chief back before free agency. So I've been a fan for a long time. I think he'll get out there. They've been pumping fluids into him, probably had an IV, and he probably won't feel very good after the game. But I think once the adrenaline starts kicking, he'll be fine. I am more worried about that than Willie Gay. I think that Leo Chanel and Drew Tranquil, between those two guys, they can pretty much cover everything Willie Gay can do. Willie Gay is great against the run, but he's kind of a liability in pass coverage. So while he's an important piece in stopping James Cook and possibly stopping a scrambling Josh Allen, I'm with you. Omenihu has been so great. Over the last 6 games of the regular season, he had 5.5 sacks, a couple of forced fumbles. He was big for the 49ers in the playoffs last year. So we really need him tonight. And I think their tackles, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, are sort of ripe for the picking. Dawkins is improved, but if I had to single out a weak spot on that defensive line, it would either be Spencer Brown or at right tackle, I believe, or Osiris Torrance, who I think Omenihu can also potentially, when he moves inside, win against.
The reason why I'm not too worried about again, they're playing in this game, but the reason why I'm not extremely worried is the amount of depth the Chiefs have. I mean, again, this is why I think the Chiefs are in a good spot comparatively to the Buffalo Bills. Again, the Chiefs are relatively healthy, but at this point of the season, we all know dudes are banged up. Well, a lot of the banged up dudes in the Bills, they are out this game. They don't have the depth to begin with that Kansas City has. You mentioned it at linebacker, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, who played together with Nick Bolton last game, which was lovely to see, as well as Leo Chenal. That is huge. And then again, on the defensive line, you're looking at a plethora of guys they can throw out. I know no FAU. He's inactive for this game. And part of that's because Malik Herring's played some pretty good snaps for the Chiefs this season. He's not a guy I want to see get a ton. But again, in case of emergency, in case Charles Omenihu's not feeling great, throw Malik Herring in there and you're not panicked. That, again, is massive. A couple of super chats I want to get to you guys because thank you guys so much. It's very, very kind for hanging out and especially donating. That's very, very, very nice of y'all. Vladimir Putin, again, always a great name, says, send me a super chat now because either way, I'll be too drunk to make a coherent post afterwards. Welcome to the club. Pacheco and Rice are going to be huge tonight. Go Chiefs, 35-20. Book it.
Boy, I love that spread.
And then Tungsten, always appreciate you as well. Tungsten says, as a drummer myself, I find it hurts my heart that Danny Carey isn't in your top list, Sterling. I am brokenhearted. He's number 1 on the book. He's great. That's a Tool drummer. I love him. I just don't have his signed drum head behind me.
No John Bonham either? I mean, come on, man.
He passed away. How am I supposed to get that? How am I supposed to get John Bonham? Okay? You get it for me, and I'll put it up behind my head. It's not my fault.
I've got a couple questions for you guys. The first is the Bills D showed the Chiefs light boxes 85% of the time last matchup. No Pacheco. Do you think they do that again? They love to stay a nickel and dime as much as they possibly can. They're actually pretty stubborn about it.
Yeah, but Pacheco will make them pay some. I mean, like in both games, Pacheco had the same number of rushes as Jerick McKinnon or less. Clyde was the lead rusher in both of those games. They barely ran the ball at all in both those games, by the way. I think the lead rusher had like 6 or 7 carries in their first game against Buffalo. And then going back to when I'm talking about the other game, I'm talking about even the other time last year when Pacheco played against them. They've just never seen Pacheco, right? First game was like 2 carries for 9 yards, 2 catches. 10 total snaps, and he didn't play earlier this year. It's just going to be, I think we're going to see a proper introduction, and then they're going to have to adjust, right? And who do you trust to adjust there? Do you trust their defense or our defense? I don't think they can hold that stubbornness if Pacheco does what we know he can do.
When it comes to adjusting, this is something that Steve Spagnuolo in this defense has been doing all season long, especially as the season's progressed. It feels like teams are scoring first, second drive. They're giving up 10 points, 14 points early, and then all of a sudden, what happens? they're nails, they're locked down. They figure out what the offense is doing, like a boxer trying to figure out some moves, and then they figure it out and they're golden. What do you expect in this game? Because I keep saying I expect to see a lot of what the Bills did early on in that game. A lot of 12 personnel, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, James Cook getting involved yet again, not just on the ground, but as a pass catcher. So I'm sitting here going, do they do the same thing that was effective for a half and then got figured out? Or does Spags come out and take that away early and try and make the Bills do something different? What do you guys think here?
I think they're pretty stubborn. Last season, when they played the Bengals in the playoffs, it looked like they had a game plan defensively that didn't work, and they just stuck with it. I don't know that they have the ability, the Spags-like ability, to be a defensive chameleon as a unit. I trust, I know McDermott's a good coach, but I just trust Spags over almost anybody to come up with kind of a bespoke game plan for the playoffs, and also to get kind of crazy and he just has huge guts. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest too. You can only adjust to with the players you have. I mean,
Sure.
if you're missing several guys, McDermott may be going, man, I'd love to make these adjustments, but if I ask who I have to do what they can't do, we're only going to look worse than trying to do what we can excel at and hope that limits them enough that our offense can do something about it. I think that's where maybe some of the Bills, I think maybe it could be part stubbornness or it could be part at this point. I mean, no one will know outside of Orchard Park, why they do some of the things they do, but that may be a part of it too.
What I'm intrigued about is 12 personnel that the Bills will run, and I'm sure everyone is sitting here tired of me talking about the Bills running this 12 personnel, but again, I think it's a massive storyline because Stephon Diggs from about week 6, week 7 on, he's not been great. I mean, just look at the numbers. Yeah, he went over 1,000 yards this year, but he started off the season very, very strong. And now he's going up against L'Jarius Sneed, in my opinion, the best lockdown against wide receiver ones in the entire NFL. No Gabe Davis, Trent McDuffie, Khalil Shakur, who's solid, don't get me wrong, but I like my chances there. So I'm sitting here going, well, the only chance I really think the Bills have is trying to go between the hashes, which again, they did early on in the first matchup. But we have seen, again, Spagnuolo adjust as the game progresses. I think from the get-go here, he focuses in on that. I'm sitting here wondering how the Bills move the ball effectively outside of Josh Allen turning superhuman. And at times when he tries to do too much, what happens? It looks like he drops LSD and starts throwing the ball whichever which way. Makes no sense. Turnovers start to pile up. Again, I love the Chiefs' defense in this game going up against the Bills' offense.
How long do you guys think it's been since Stephon Diggs had a 100-yard game?
Week 7, I think.
He hasn't done it in his last 12. The over-under for yards for him is 62.5. I'm taking the under. He just does not look like himself. I don't know if it's an age thing. There's been some stuff about a core injury. Last week, he kind of banged up his foot. But pair that and him slowing down with the offense changing and L'Jarius Sneed, I just don't expect him to have a huge night.
It's a shocking development for a team that's looked old in other ways. I credit because early on the script on the Bills was that they had gotten old. Like, remember when they were like on the outside looking in, it looked like, oh, here's a bunch of mismanaged funds and you missed your window. Now credit them. They got on fire when they needed to. You want to play your best football down the stretch. They did it, and they even claimed a division title in the process. And now we're looking at playing them in the divisional round. So they deserve a lot of credit for the turnaround. But I wonder if some of those early season scripts that we thought may be coming true could actually be coming true at the tail end of a hot streak. Who knows?
I think it's a very good point. Again, Von Miller has been nothing this entire season. He's been brutal. During the regular season, 3 tackles, 0 sacks. Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, very solid safeties, but they're at 32, I believe. Again, I've talked about Tre'Davious White, Matt Milano injured yet again. Now, defensive line, I want to get your guys' thoughts here because Ed Oliver has been outstanding all season long, but the difference is He's going up against maybe the best interior O-line in the NFL, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Joe Thuney. We saw what they did to Christian Wilkins. I think it's a pretty good comp as far as talent level wise. You look at the pass rushers on the outside for the Bills, they're nothing to write home about. I mean, Leonard Floyd's had a very nice year, 10.5 sacks. He's been here before with the Rams, right? He's a very solid player, but he's not a game changer. Greg Rousseau is a solid guy. Daquan Jones coming back on the interior is very big for the Bills. Maybe helps them in the run game, but I'm still sitting here going, their best 2 defensive line players are both on the interior, and they're going against the Chiefs' strength here. Again, this to me seems like another big win for Kansas City when it comes to the trenches.
Yeah, but I would even say Gregory Rousseau and Leonard Floyd are a huge step up from what they faced last week when they faced what we called in the pregame the AARP pass rushers, where they were all like an average of 35 years old. Gregory Rousseau and Leonard Floyd are going to be a bigger challenge, a stiffer challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that same as last year, we had a couple of tackles that struggled at times during the regular season, allowed a lot of pressures, and they really gelled in the postseason. Talk about Wiley and Orlando Brown Jr. They went on a run. They played their best football when it mattered most. I trust Andy Heck a lot. I trust Andy Heck a heck of a lot. Had to go there. Sorry to get all dad on you. But I think he is one of the underrated coaches in the National Football League. And I think he'll have these guys ready to play. And, Ed Oliver is a fantastic player, but Joe Thuney, for my money this season, is the best guard in football. And I think that, last week, Trey Smith was awesome. And we know what Creed brings. So I think we're going to be ready for their defensive line.
Yeah.
X Factor. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Connor. Sorry.
No. I would just say I like their guys. I think maybe more than you guys do. And I think we may struggle against them more than we think they will. Every playoff match is going to be tough in the trenches. I think the Bills are better than what we're giving them credit for there. And I think we've seen some mistakes too. We've seen Trey Smith make mistakes. We've seen Creed have lower spots this year than we did the previous year. It's just going to be about the Bills are going to get theirs at certain points on both sides of the ball. And that's going to happen in any late postseason match. So, yeah.
I would agree with that. Again, I do think Daquan Jones is a pretty big get back for them, most likely, though, in stopping the run, and particularly Isaiah Pacheco up the gut. Now, I want to get to X factors. I know you and I, all of us, we want to get to our comfy little chairs downstairs, get suited up, crack open a cold one, an Arrowhead lager, and watch, hopefully, a Chiefs victory. So as far as X factors go, I'll start with you, Best. What's an X factor, either a player or a matchup that you're looking forward to in this game?
Isaiah Pacheco, but that's a little bit too easy. We've talked about him all night. I'll go a little bit more off the beaten path with Drew Tranquill. Drew Tranquill wasn't available in the last game. He and Nick Bolton play so well together. It's like having 2 green dots out there, if you will. And even Nick Bolton, he was basically just coming back from wrist surgery. So I think Drew Tranquill, his speed, his savviness is really going to help blitz and contain Josh Allen.
I don't want to go obvious, but I'm going to go the most obvious I can and say Mahomes. And I know that just sounds like, even my cat would say Mahomes in some meowed form. But look, man, here's the thing. I just, we're watching a guy who still somehow gets a bunch of shade. Bobby Stroop all week long has been keeping receipts and retweeting them. Mahomes has heard it all week long. He played so well last week, doing exactly what he needed to do like we talked about the safe performance. But Mahomes has now become so expansive in what he can do, his skill set to win a game, which is either everyone climb on my shoulders like an over my dead body kind of game. We've seen 13 seconds. We've seen it all from him, but we've also seen measured, calculated, safe performances that just put the game away like it needed to be done. And that was it. And I just think in this kind of instance, you're going on the road, you're just going to take care of business. There's been all this talk. I'm just going with Mahomes. That's a big safe pillow to land on, but I'm going.
Well, you guys kind of took both of what I was going to say, my X factors. Offensively, it's Mahomes with his legs. We see what he does in the playoffs. He uses his legs more often. We saw against Miami, he's not afraid to lower the shoulder if he has to pick it up. I think we see Mahomes go for maybe 40, 45, maybe even close to 50 yards rushing in this game, pick up some big third downs. Defensively, it's the linebacker group because to me, they're going to have their hands full. I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,001. With 12 personnel, with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, as well as James Cook out of the backfield, not just out of the backfield, but running the football as well, this is going to be putting a ton of pressure on them. They have to be decisive, they have to get downhill, and they got to be great in coverage. We will see why the depth was such an important factor and why Brett Veach nailed it this offseason with bringing Drew Tranquill in as well. That, to me, is my X factor. Now, score prediction before we get out of here. Best, what are you going with?
Bills 20, Chiefs 24. Going to come down to the wire. And I'm calling a Chris Jones huge moment. He's going to put his signature, his stamp on this game.
Connor.
I'm going to go Chiefs 27, Bills 17. I think it's a 2-score win. And I think a player who has taken their lumps this year is going to find a way to reverse the conversation about them in the postseason. It'll either be like Jawan Taylor, MVS, someone. I just think someone's going to use this opportunity to go. McCole. Someone's going to go, I don't want to buy any more drinks for myself in Kansas City. I need to do something in the postseason to make that happen. So there it goes.
I am rolling with a low-scoring physical game. I'm going Chiefs 23, Bills 17. Special teams will play a massive factor in this one. That means 3 field goals for Harrison Butker. He will go 3 for 3. Guys, we'll be back for the halftime show. Settle in, buckle up, blood pressure, keep it low, beer, keep it high if you're 21 and older. Until the halftime show, we are out.